the best exercises for developing a good saxophone sound. The first thing you should note is that there's no one-size-fits-all saxophone embouchure that applies to everyone. We all have very different bodies, and we might have to do things differently to get the same result. To get the sound that you want, I think the most important thing is to experiment and try to figure out what works for you. But here are some exercises that I think will help you get started, and that should help you develop your consciousness as to what you're doing and how that impacts your sound. First and foremost, everything starts with your airstream. Now there's tons of good videos about airstream up on YouTube, so you can go watch those. I'm not gonna go into detail because I think airstream is something that's pretty universal for all sax players. But when it comes to the things that are going on inside your cavity, like the position of your tongue, the position of your lips, your throat, this is very, very individual, and sax players approach it very differently. For instance, if you go watch a Joe Allard video, he's going to tell you to say E into the saxophone. But if you go watch the George Garzone video, he's going to tell you to say Ah into the saxophone. Now these produce different results, so experiment with both and find out what works for you. When it comes to the position of the lower lip, I tend to prefer to play with the fatter part of my lip touching the reed. But some sax players prefer to fold their lips slightly over their teeth. That's not the case for me, but some people do that and it works. Again, develop a conscious relationship to what you're doing and figure out what gives you a good sound. The position of your tongue is also something that varies from player to player. I like to keep my tongue high up in my mouth with the edges of the tongue touching my top teeth. This gives me a more focused airstream, and it's similar to what Joe Allard talks about in his concepts. Now, here are a few exercises that have helped me develop a good sound, and I think most saxophone players will benefit from doing these exercises. The first thing is long tones, and I like to do this exercise I learned from George Garzone, which is playing from F on your horn and chromatically down towards low B flat. Start every note with just airstream and try to find the spot where the airstream turns into a sound and stay there. Next exercise I would do is overtones. I like to work with this book. It's called Top Tones for the Saxophone, and it's a great way to get you started on producing the different overtones in the Overtone series. Next, I would practice pitch matching, which essentially is taking that full sound from when you're playing an overtone and trying to apply it to the regular fingering of that same note. And I want to emphasize that you should not try to go up in the altissimo register too soon. You should only move into the altissimo register when you have full control of the lower register. Next up is an exercise to help you relax the corners of your mouth. This is something I picked up from a Dave Liebman video on YouTube where he's talking for 2.5 hours about saxophone sound. This is a great in-depth video that you should definitely go watch if you're interested in diving deeper into this. But this exercise is holding your fingers in the corners of your mouth as you're playing. Play for about 10 minutes or so and then take them out again, and you'll find that the corners of your mouth are so much more relaxed. There are tons more exercises that you can do, but these are a few that I found especially helpful. But don't just take my word for it. Experiment and try to check some other sources of information as well, because my approach might not be the right approach for you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and follow if you want more content like this.